Hey, good morning everybody. John Scullin, the DBC brand champion. We're back for FDIC day 2. Yesterday we did a live with Rapid City and a beautiful truck. Had the customer here to take a look at it, so we thank them for allowing us to display. And today we're going to look at our premium Type 1, the Demers MXP 170. The most value you can possibly get in a 170 module with standard aluminum cabinets, standard multiplex, lifetime modular warranty, 180,000 mile paint warranty that includes corrosion. We're going to hit a lot of those things. But first, just give you a quick view of the front end of the ambulance. One thing Demers does for our speakers, when most people do the federal tests for the sound levels, they will leave the windows up on the ambulance. Demers has designed these speakers to be tested with the windows down. What does that mean to you? The less loud noise inside the cab, it's the reduction of the sirens. Really better for the hearing. When you get old like me, you realize we probably shouldn't run the siren with the windows down, right? Moving along the side, intersection lights. Again, we have a 170, an MXP 170. This is on an F450 4x4 by Ford. 7 light configurations on the front. You can of course choose 5, 7, 3, 19. You just let us know what you want. And we have the Demers exclusive aero cap available. Make sure you ask your dealer about that. I'm going to shut off the lights really quick just to give you a view of the cab. We're going to highlight the console again. We've got our front center console constructed of all aluminum, and as you scroll down you'll see all the switches are in place, a spot for your mobile radio, cup holders, etc. And as we scan up on the Ford toward the dashboard, what we see is that the backup camera will actually come through that screen, and then on the other screen you can have rear patient camera, turn signals, but there's multiple configurations. Most important thing is in the cab, the way Demers lays out the switches and ergonomics. We do everything we can to keep the driver and the passenger within reach of those controls at all times. All right, so we're going to move on down to the module, talk about a lot of cool features of the module. Standard auto eject. Come over here to the oxygen compartment, and again, the Demers module has a limited lifetime warranty up to 25 years. You can transfer it. It can be remounted at one of our facilities for giving you some significant cost savings if you have a remount project. The other reason I start up here is because I want to highlight a few things about why we have the warranties we do. Yesterday I didn't talk about the bumper-to-bumper warranty. We have a 2-year, 75,000 OEM warranty. What's that mean for you? Anything that we add on to your ambulance, an inverter, a light, I'm just using those as examples. If you have an issue with that inverter and it's out of warranty within a year, Demers gives you 2 years, 75,000 miles on all OEM installed components, meaning what we put on the ambulance. So flashlights, everything. Really good value because you can save some equipment on maintenance, save some money on equipment maintenance. It's really early, isn't it? Like 9:30, wow. All right, so back to the module. Yesterday we talked about the 5-year, 180,000 mile paint warranty. Its entire purpose in the way we construct the module, the way we coat the module, and even the windows, which you'll see, are all for corrosion resistance. That's all about getting you the maximum protection on the module without getting any corrosion. We avoid dissimilar metals as well. All right, now we'll get into some of the smaller features that come standard that most people don't realize. All of our compartments on Demers, on the modules, have this, what some folks call a hurricane strap, some people call it a retention strap. What that does is keeps the staff from overextending the door or for the wind hitting it, and it'll keep your gas shock at the top from breaking. So it just adds a little strength. And right below it and on this side, take a look at these doors, the actual seals. You've probably not seen anything like that unless you're a Demers customer. We have an exclusive dual door seal. So right there at the bottom, when the dirt comes past this first one, if it makes it past, we've got a whole nother seal to keep the water and elements out of the compartments. And we're going to talk about dust too. So standard oxygen compartment. I want to point out an access panel here. When you have to work on your AC drain hoses or the auto eject, simple removal of 8 screws. We make everything very modular to be able to lock in there. Payload on this particular ambulance is, it's almost 4,000 pounds usable payload. After occupants, you have almost 2,000 pounds of usable payload, and the weight always includes each of the seated positions. All right, moving on to the electrical of the MXP 170. Yesterday on the 150, you saw we have one door with the electrical behind it. The 170 has more features, more options, much more electrical room needed. So the engineers came up with a way to get the electrical up here out of the way. It gives us interior space. As you can see, very easy to work on. There's nothing in here you can't see. And if you're a maintenance guy listening, or maintenance gal, it's got a separate key, so the crews will stay out of there. But the advantage is it's up there out of the way, central location for all wiring. The entire Demers multiplex system is built in. You have remote diagnostic ports here and under the dash, and those dual seals keep all the elements out. Street side too, similar to the one we saw yesterday, not a stair chair holder here, but this is our standard configuration with a shelf. Yesterday, I let everybody know here we have the suction pump behind one of the access panels and the inverter. What that does for us, again, gives you easy access to work on anything inside the compartment. One thing I failed to point out yesterday, if we scroll right to here, this is the 110 system. So when you plug your truck into the shoreline and the breaker trips, over all the years you're probably used to crawling into the ambulance, laying on the floor, reaching under the seat, resetting the breaker. We've put it right here next to the shoreline for you. Above that is the maintenance switch for the liquid spring. That's just controlled to keep you from going into maintenance mode, so it doesn't have a lot of the functionality of the ambulance. It's mostly for safety. All right, moving down the curb side, or the street side. Again, composite fiberglass wheel wells sealed with Sikaflex to avoid dissimilar metal. We don't have any metal attachments going through this into the body. They're into spacers here at the bottom to hold the trim, but there's no dissimilar metal all the way around. What that means, again, 180,000 mile corrosion guarantee. Nobody else covers corrosion that long. Check your fine print of your warranty. Back to street side 3. This is a very standard layout, very commonly ordered layout. Call it the inside-outside access S3. So a lot of people keep blankets, immobilization equipment, whatever the medics may need from in and out. This compartment in EMS generally, just more supplies. It's an excellent compartment for fire departments. We do most of our MXP 170s lately seem to be fire departments. We have a really cool setup for SCBA brackets in the corners. You can hang your helmets. We can even notch this or dogleg it, and you'll have helmets, packs, and gear. This is a spacious compartment. There's plenty of room to hold all of your firefighting gear if you use this as a dual purpose unit, fire EMS. We're gonna skip the back. We'll give you a view of the interior, a little bit of a sneak peek. And we're going to come on over to the curbside. Everybody's favorite compartment, the backboard compartment, right? So you open the door on the slant, the backboards come out, get you in the head. Put a seatbelt strap here to retain those. But this compartment is a pretty popular Demers design. What we've done is enabled you to keep your stair chair at the bottom. The door is pocketed, so when the door closes, any of the market stair chairs, even the motorized ones, they sit in there, and when you close the door, it seals around the stair chair and holds it in place. There's a lip at the bottom to keep you from destroying the door sill when you bring the chair out. And then above it, you have adjustable shelves for immobilization. You can actually reach into the compartment from the inside and access any immobilization equipment, things like that. So easily configurable. That door was actually designed many years ago to get an auto pulse access or a CPR device from inside out. Pretty slick setup, and it holds a lot of equipment. Hear how solid the door is when you close the door? When you're looking in an ambulance, you can learn an awful lot really quickly. Go out, close the door, listen to the sound. You have to have a fully insulated door. Putting a cube of styrofoam in there is not going to help. Demers uses a full fiberglass reflective backed insulation in the entire door. We fill all of the channels of the door with insulation, so there's no heat transfer. We use rods, of course, which most folks do now, but we took that an extra step. Latches usually break because you slam the doors a lot. All those pieces moving around. So Demers has a system inside the door with nylon tracks that hold the rods in place. They allow them to adjust, but they prevent breakage in most cases. All right, and also another easy to repair system. This particular demo has all Whelen LED. Sometimes we forget to talk about lights, but all Whelen LED. Demers does not use any halogen lighting at all. So you won't find any halogen on this truck unless it's OEM part of the Ford. You have a turn signal and a rear emergency light. Pointing out the payload again, best in class, up to 5,500 pounds on the 5500 Ram or on the 550 Ford. And of course, this is available on quite a few chassis. Another thing I'll highlight here is our lower step. Now, this ambulance does have liquid spring. It is lowered, but we have a less than 13-inch step height. This is awesome because if you're in an ambulance every day, and I know if you're listening, you probably are, how many people a day go in and out of this door? you, right, and some patients that are ambulatory. Every time you go in and out, you have two injury potentials, an ingress and an egress. You have a wide stairway, non-skid coating, low step entry, and protection all the way down. So when you step into this ambulance, it requires very little initial lift. It's a very simple, easy, and exit. Something else that Demers has done quite often, we find this to be a really great place for O2 cylinders. Yes, it is in the wheel well, but there's still room to step next to it. If you don't like it there, that's okay. But we found it to be very handy, especially you get to the scene, you grab your first response bag, you got an extra tank here. So if you need the tank inside or out, easy to access. That's a Demers product. Yesterday I failed to mention module locks. All Demers modules come standard with door locks. So when you're speccing out your ambulance, talking to your manufacturer, ask if that's standard or if it's an option. If it's an option, it can be quite expensive. Following on with our safety premise, standard, we always put conspicuity tape on each door, and we go a step further as a standard. We put a line of conspicuity on the outer frame of the door. A lot of folks don't even notice this, but that's on every Demers ambulance built. Nobody has to ask for it. We feel that if the door's open, it should have a reflective barrier. Of course, you can change the colors or do whatever you want. Flush mounted window, we talked about that a little bit yesterday, and we'll take a look today. Have an automotive style flip out window. So what does this do for you? Allows a little fresh air in the back of the module if you need to vent some out. And as you heard it lock, it's a true automotive style window. That means there's a pan form with a gasket behind there. What it allows it to do is all the rain and water gets behind here and runs right out the bottom. The seals inside keep the moisture from going inside the ambulance, and it keeps it out of the door because it's impossible to get in the door with this seal around it. It's just like an SUV, minivan, you know, modern vehicles. So really slick, and as you can see, it's great for graphics. You can put graphics right across it. ALS cabinet. So when the MXP 170 was designed, we took a lot of studies from customers. What do you need? What don't you have? How much room do you need? And we came up with one of the largest front ALS cabinets in the industry. As you can see by the size, it's still quite manageable, but it allows us to get up to 4 batteries at the bottom, depending on accessories like Q sirens. Our flooring continues through for those heavy or rough bottomed equipment bags. You can take them in and out without damaging the compartment. Shelves are adjustable and reversible if you want to lip on them. This is an interior medication drawer, and we'll look at that when we get inside. Again, retention straps, 110 and 12 volt everywhere. The extras are not too much extra with us. We include a lot of standards to make it easier for you. So let's go around the back, do the interior, and see what we can find in there. All right. Before we get in the back, if you've seen a video of mine, or if you've talked to me or met me or bought from me, you know I talk about this wall a lot. I call it the third wall. It is the Demers Clever Cabinetry System. And what we've done is designed a heavy proprietary aluminum extruded frame. This entire cabinet wall is built on the outside of the ambulance. It's brought in and set here and bolted in. Why do we do that? We do a horizontal pull test on those cabinets to make sure they're reinforced. If you watched yesterday, we talked about collisions. I won't spend quite as much time, but the point here is a cabinet can come off of the wall. Demers has this whole third wall. So if you can imagine a side impact or a front offset collision into your oxygen compartment, cabinets can and do come off the wall unless you have them reinforced properly or built this way. So exclusive to Demers, and the cool thing we get out of that, no pun intended on cool, our HVAC system is then allowed to be split. What we've done is we have an independent air conditioning system that vents along the top through those ducts. The heater is located in the base wall, and the front of this is actually a large ductwork system. So all of the heat that the heater produces, when you get the patient in here, they're cold, you want them to warm up first. So the heat blows out of the floor, around the cot, warming the patient, and then rises. So us providers, we're in there just sweating like crazy, right? You know, you got the heat blowing in your face. This is a great feature, especially if you're in an area where you get a lot of cold weather injuries or hypothermia. Boy, it warms them up quick. So I know we got a lot of folks in the north central states that love that feature. So it gives you the pull tested safety, And that's really what Demers is all about, safety and ergonomics. Ergonomics being just the example we stepped in the side of the ambulance. We try to make sure everything is safe. All right, today we'll just take a view from right here. We'll get into the cabinets a little bit. We've got the inside-outside cabinet we talked about, industry tested and compliant cabinets. In fact, we go above and beyond what the industry standard is. You'll see the LED cabinet lights are still here. So LED cabinet lights are standard. When I talked about that third wall, this is the example I'm going to show you. This is the wall, this extruded piece all the way around. And this is what keeps us able to pull test the wall and it locked together. And you can see how smooth those extrusions are. We have a special proprietary saw that cuts this angle, and that allows you to run your hand across a metal extrusion, no problem. Our shelves got a neat feature that not a lot of people think about. We've got these dividers made out of Lexan, and if you move the front, they move. If you push on the back, they don't. So as you put your bins and things in there, it's just a nice feature to have that not a lot of people do. And of course, all the compliant restocking and door closure hardware here for all the change notices. Any questions coming in? No, nothing yet.
When will a hybrid version be available?
You know, hybrid, when will a hybrid version be available? So there are a lot of technology advancements in the industry. We've recently seen the release of some commercial and some retail electric vehicles from the big three. Everybody's moving that way. Of course, the challenge with ambulances is size and range, but I can assure you that the DBC companies are working on a solution for hybrid or for some green initiatives. That's a big part of our goal. And you'll hear more about that, I'm sure, in the upcoming years. Action area, we have the LED compartment and cabinet lights, the attendant light. This is actually the cardiac area, so technically designed to keep cardiac monitor. Plug it in, give you 12 volt. This ambulance has the 6-point harnesses. Of course, they are available in many configurations. You have 6-point, 4-point, 4.1 click, all those different things. So just ask your rep about that. As we move down to the action area, you'll see it's pretty busy, right? But we have electric O2 with a bypass, 2 outlets, a suction, 110, 12. I mean, everything you need to plug in, everything you need to work in your action area is ready to go. Easy access to the switches for the lights, suction and fan. And this digital touchpad controls, right now it's showing the atmospheric pressure for oxygen, but it also controls your heat and AC when the ambulance is running, volume control, and a Xantrex inverter. So, radio comm compartment, quick since we've gone over a lot of these and we're getting up on our time here. So you always have a 12 volt power source back here to tap in your radios and plenty of equipment to mount your radio or communications equipment with good airflow from the AC system. The other thing is, if you look in this cabinet, most ambulances, it's very difficult to find the air conditioner for service. So if we look inside in this corner, you can see every component of the air conditioning system is easily accessible. And what's even better is this panel comes out with 8 screws. So I can stand in the middle and have access to the air conditioning system to work on it if it's something I can't reach from here. This is a feature that you will not find anywhere else in the industry. Most air conditioning units are completely encapsulated in the front bulkhead and can sometimes be very difficult to work on. All right, 3 seated positions on the 170 with 6-point. Our very convenient emergency control console, or we call auxiliary control console, that allows them to stay seated in whatever position they prefer for the type of care they're doing. Access the controls, gloves, IV supplies, everything right here. And I'm sorry, I cut the camera off. So there's that inside-outside access I talked about. And one other thing I want to point out before we wrap up, some of these are maybe not significant to the overall construction, but very convenient. We try to make your job as easy as possible. So you have a slide out medication or EKG drawer. A lot of folks keep all their EKG equipment there. Slide out cardiac drawer and a slide out med drawer in the front ALS. And you can stay, but I'll slide it open just so you can see. It's a very sturdy aluminum med storage drawer. So if a lot of people still use a code drawer, right? Or I'm aging myself, but a medication, all your boxes can lay in here with dividers, and your narcotic cabinet is above. Seat, child safety, of course, seems to be pretty standard nowadays. Don't sell too many without them. So that concludes our tour of the Demers MXP 170. We have shown you all kinds of cool features that are standard on a Demers as of today. And hopefully what you got from my message is about safety, ergonomics, and value. The most options you can get on a model like this for the price in the industry. So reach out to your dealers. And thank you for joining us today, learning about the product, and we're really excited to be here at FDIC. If you're here, come by. You might get a hat or something. You never know. Thanks.